KAFF Country Legends, 93.5 and AM 930. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dave Zorn. I'm with congressional candidate Tiffany Shedd. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi.
And you know what? I guess we're a congressional candidate week because yesterday we had on Steve Smith. Now we have you here in studio. And probably Wendy will call me eventually, I guess, to round out the table here. So it's your second time through. Welcome back in. I know you've been busy hitting the district and talking to a bunch of people. So what's the vibe out there in the district right now?
Well, I think it's very hopeful. It's very hopeful for our campaign. We've made tremendous momentum. And, I think the reason is we're talking about the issues people care about, things that affect their daily lives. I understand rural Arizona because those are the things that affect my daily life. I've lived here, basically my entire life. And, we're worried about our water, our natural resources, our power, jobs, the economy, and just making sure that rural Arizona has the same amazing opportunities that urban Arizona has.
And we'll talk about some of those things in just a minute. But I've got to get you, since it's kind of fresh on everybody's mind. You heard it this morning during our newscast a little bit. There's a little bit of rumbling going on in the district in the campaign right now, not involving you, but with Steve Smith and Wendy Rogers. Steve Smith yesterday calling for Wendy Rogers to get out of the race due to a mailing that she sent out. We won't get into what it is. If you got the mailing, you probably know. You've probably seen it, and you know what it is about. But talk a little bit about that. I mean, it's campaign season, so this is over history. This is kind of these things that kind of rear its ugly head every once in a while. And fortunately, I know for you, just by watching what you've been doing and following you on social media and stuff, you guys have you kept your head out of this and above water, and you want to talk about the issues more than anything else. But talk about maybe this mudslinging thing. I mean, it can't be very helpful to I think Joe Q voters just looking for somebody to get behind as far as the issues are concerned, and don't care about the sidebar stuff that's going on.
Well, and this is one of the reasons I decided to run for office as someone who hasn't run for office is I've sat in the position of, how do we keep our farm from going under, our fourth generation farm? How do I make sure my children have a good education? Just the things that, people living in the district worry about. And when it becomes all about mudslinging, we forget that while that's very exciting for the people involved, it's also very unhelpful to get things solved. And so, we've seen opposition research on the other candidates, and we've just chosen to stick to the issues because at the end of the day, I've lived in this community my whole life. My children live in this community, and I have 3 children that are looking at me as to my behavior. And I just don't have it in me, and I can't. It's just not a place I want to go, especially when we have either such amazing things to brag about in this district, especially Flagstaff's weather today. Oh my gosh, it's a perfect day. And we also have so many challenges that I know that we can solve if we put our heads together. And, as a congressional candidate, you have a limited window for media, for what you send out, for what you say on the radio. And I don't have time. We have too many big things that we need to achieve. And so I don't have time for the other.
Okay, that's okay, and you know what? That's very commendable and respectful that you decided to take that road. I know I'm a guy who decided this year, the midterms, I'm going to go more character than anything else. I want to know the person, and within this position, I get that opportunity to meet all you guys who come through and all the candidates. So I have that ability to judge that way. And then I want to look at the issues that's important to me. I could care less if you start mudslinging. You're done with me. You're crossed off. I don't want to put up with it. I want to know I want to know the character and then what the person stands for. And that's, for me, I know everyone's got their own thing, but that's kind of what I would look for as a voter myself. So let's keep on the positive track. And you said there's great things happening in Flagstaff. We all know there's a lot of good things happening here. So talk about the district and some of the good things that are happening in this district.
Well, one of them is something very exciting I get to do today. Up on the Navajo Nation, we're going to go see some mini desalination plants. And they are taking their brackish water and turning it into distilled water that's potable and drinkable. And, usually when we think of desalination plants, we think of these huge, billion-dollar things. And the University of Arizona is partnering up there, and I'm super excited to see that. I'm interested in figuring out ways to bring electrification to rural areas that still don't have it so they can share in the opportunity. Up here in the mountains, our weather is absolutely gorgeous. So if you are down in the lowlands, you need to come up here. You need to spend money. You need to stay in hotels, and you need to support our high country brothers in this district and sisters. And, and we're also seeing just amazing people producing, people having hope. And, I think that's what it's all about.
Talking with Tiffany Shedd. She's a candidate for Congressional District 1 here on KAFF Country Legends, 93.5 and AM 930. And I think you're right. I like looking at other ways to come about things. I think the tribe is doing a good thing with the desalination plant. I know there's things in the pipeline with the Hopi tribe that of doing some things from the environmental standpoint. I know with NGS still kind of hanging out there. I know there's some bidders to possibly buy that. That's a huge thing, not only for the economy, but as far as jobs and that kind of thing. So that can go one way or another up in Page as well. Talk about a little bit about some other things that people are concerned about. Like, I know immigration's a big thing in the district, plus education as well. So talk about your thoughts on those.
Well, immigration is huge, and it's been big for a while. And really, we need to secure the border so that we can move on and have immigration that works for the United States. And just put this issue, it's a very polarizing issue, and put it behind us. And also, a secure border is good for the United States, and it's good for Mexico. Both of us can grow in legal trade and legal production instead of having human trafficking and drugs and whatnot that's tearing both of our countries down. And, another thing about, the border that's interesting to me is we're very short on Border Patrol agents. They're retiring or quitting quicker than we're refilling them, as well as Customs, which causes waits at the border. And I'd really like to see more veterans streamlined into those positions. And because I was thinking about that, I've gotten to talk to different sheriffs in rural areas, home builders, different industries, mining, etc., who have a huge need for labor in rural Arizona. But we have so many veterans coming out of our services that have similar skill sets that they've learned that I would love to do. Maybe the first piece of legislation is to build a clearinghouse. So veterans, if you're if you're active duty and military in Germany and you want to come back and get a job in Coconino County, you can see what employers are there and do a public-private partnership, because these employers are willing to do the training necessary to move them over, to have workers that have been, they have the discipline and what you learn in the service, and people of character working for them. And that would really help a lot of our veterans and our labor shortage in rural Arizona. And so there's just so many things. And even up on the Navajo Nation and the NGS, there is a third idea out there. And one of them is, because I like electricity and I like power, is that...
Most probably do, yeah.
Yeah, you really can't do mudslinging without it. There's no Twitter or Facebook without energy, or radio stations. But what's interesting is, there's also been some thought thrown around lately of putting a co-op, an electrical co-op, which is something that came out of a 1920s or 30s era congressional act, where you get a very low rate loan to put in the infrastructure for power, because 73% of the Navajo Nation has no power, so they can't grow businesses either. And so keeping one of the units open on the NGS as part of that co-op is also another option. So I think, we have to face that we can't, subsidize that with lower water users to the tune of about $50 million a year. But there are other things, and I love the chance to look for win-wins for different stakeholders and maybe just think out of the box a little.
Yeah, I love that idea. My thought is that one side takes one position, the other side takes another position. I've always thought there's got to be a middle ground somewhere that works for everybody. And I think the more conversation there is on a lot of things, and the more ideas come out from conversations, the better. I think the better result can happen on a lot of those things too. Not only just NGS, but just as many ideas. I mean, there's good ideas on both sides. Let's come back together and work out a plan that could be great for everybody.
I agree. And I think that, as being a congresswoman of this giant district, that's one of the big jobs, is getting the stakeholders together to get a consensus. Because after 50 years of living on this earth, I actually believe that the both sides are wrong and the best solutions are in the middle, because they've taken everything into consideration. And sometimes consensus looks like a barroom brawl when we're talking about interests. But at the end of the day, that is the best. And I want to be able to promote what the stakeholders believe and fight for that federally, so that the federal government honors what the people in the communities and rural Arizona actually want for their communities without it being pushed down our throat from the top down.
Awesome. We're running a little bit out of time, so this is our chance to get you promote where people can get more look at you. If you haven't voted, if you're you go down to the last couple days to vote, or you want to vote on voting day, you just have no idea who you're going to vote for. If you're on the Republican side in this district, tell everybody where they can get more information on you, not only the website, but social media and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, we're Shed for Congress, SHEDDFOR, Congress.com. And we're also on Facebook, Shed for Congress, and Twitter, Tiffany Shed. And I'm terrible at handles because I'm old and I'm not that good at social media. So sorry, just go through the website and you will find it. We'll also be having meet and greets in Williams coming up here soon, and also in the White Mountains in Pine Top, Lakeside, and also Springerville. And so I know it's a bit of a trek, but if you want a beautiful drive between two of our amazing town areas, it'd be fun.
There's nothing between a lot of those two towns, but nothing but open space. If you like open space, it's a good drive over to Springerville or the Pine Top Lakeside area for sure. Being a St. John's guy, I was always close to all these things, but now we're a little far. Yeah. Always a good drive, though.
Yeah, it's beautiful up here.
Tiffany, great seeing you again, and best of luck the coming weeks here in the primary, and we hope to talk to you again maybe in September. That means you won the primary, and we're headed to the general, and we'll talk Congressman O'Halloran after that.
All right, sounds great. Thank you so much.
KAFF Country Legends 93.5 AM 930.